CFO Playbook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with ACCA Uganda and Deloitte.
Good people, welcome to the CFO Playbook, a production of the CEO East Africa Magazine, where we get to talk about what happens in the finance profession. Of course, the whole overall goal is to make sure that we enhance leadership in the finance profession, and we are happy that our partners, ACCA Uganda and Deloitte Uganda, have partnered with us to be able to bring this show where we have conversations with various leaders in the space of finance as a profession, and we get to hear the stories, they share their experiences, so we can all be able to learn therefrom. Of course, this show takes place on the sidelines of the CFO Awards 2024, now in the 8th edition. Again, the awards themselves are brought together by FCCA Uganda and Deloitte Uganda, together with other partners such as E10, Bank of Uganda, we have NCBA Bank, we have CEO East Africa Magazine, of course, we have Osea Technologies and UPPC as some of our sponsors. And of course, the entries have already closed, so we are looking forward to the awards gala where we get together to work with the finance profession, to celebrate leadership in the hope that we shall inspire other leaders. With me here today to have a conversation, more conversations around finance leadership, is Mr. Richard Byarugaba, the CFO. Okay, I know this is the official role, but I know the actual, what he does is call him the CFO of Bank of Uganda. And he's here to share with us his experiences. And maybe I should first let him introduce himself, tell us his full ranks. I know he's been one of our winners in the awards, and then we can pick up from there once we know the man. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be ACCA. My name is, as you have mentioned, Richard Byarugaba. The official title is Executive Director Finance. So I'm in charge of the finances of the Bank of Uganda. So this means that I look after the funds, I do the budgeting, and at the end of the day, we come up with the annual report, which has to be compliant with the international financial reporting standards. In my role, apart from finance and accounting, I also supervise government projects that are run by the Bank of Uganda. These are the agricultural credit facility for farmers, and then a body involved in the agricultural value chain, and the small business recovery fund that was set up to help businesses that were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. But previously, before August 1st this year, I was also in charge of payment systems. These were the Bank of Uganda operated systems and systems that are operated by other entities. So the ones of Bank of Uganda, the RTGS, real-time gross settlement, the IPS, East African Payment System, the clearinghouse system, and then the one for government securities, which we call the CSCT, the Central Depository Security System. And also we're licensing fintechs. These are mobile money operators and aggregators. So that was my role. And as you have said, I was the winner for Public Sector Award 2022. And one of the considerations was the changing role of the accountant, that an accountant can also do other roles, payment systems and other projects, other than looking at accounts alone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow, it's quite of a job, eh? And as you are speaking, I was like, okay, this guy is really doing so much. Maybe that's why he has lost some bit of his hair. How is the day like in your, I'm just wondering, like, do you live a normal day like we guys do? How do you manage to organize your work to make sure that you still have some time to breathe?
It's a challenge, but you have to keep calm and know that you have to deliver. So I start my day at about 7:30, do the hard things first in the morning, those documents that need to go to my bosses, and so I start with those ones, then I start the routine ones of making payments.
Okay.
I also do procurement because I have a delegated role to confirm funding before a procurement starts. So it is quite a busy day. Sometimes I forget to go for lunch, and I go up to about 6 in the evening.
How big is your team?
So the accounts department has about 30 staff.
Okay.
The one of other government schemes has about 15.
Okay. Okay.
So the payment system also had about 30, but that was upgraded beginning August.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a team, eh? And just before we get into the nitty gritties and the details, I'm just wondering, how did you end up at Bank of Uganda? Where did it all start? For how long have you been in the role, and how did you get there?
Okay, so I finished university 1991, about September. So I got the job in Bank of Uganda in 1992, May 13th. And the requirements were still high. You had to have an upper second, do 3 rigorous interviews. So I've been in the bank from 92 to now, which is more than 32 years.
Wow.
Non-stop.
The question I tend to, when I see somebody who has, I personally have never worked in one place for more than 5 years. I think 6 years, the longest probably. And every time I hear somebody has been in an organization for more than 20 years and going to 30, I ask myself, is it the place that is good? Is it the person who is good? Or like, it takes some kind of different person to stay in one place. What do you think has made you stay this long? Is it exciting? Is it a good employer? Is it, I don't know. What has made you stay this long?
One, it's a good employer, but also it is the personality. You want stability. The bank is very stable. I can tell you, we joined 6 people and the 5 left. So it's not that people don't move, but the personality. You want consistent where things are predictable. Things are predictable. There are systems. You can be sure. But also the character, I think I don't like gambling or trying out many new things. But that said, I have not worked in one department in the bank. I've worked in 8 areas. So for me, that is also changing the job. I've not done one thing only. So I started in bank supervision, did financial markets, did internal auditing, did payment systems. So I've been moving. But commitment. I'm committed to working for the bank. Because it employed me when I didn't have a job, and it's like other people are not interested. I was doing interviews. So what I was hearing is that when you perform well, the employers think you are not stable. Another employer will pick you. So when I joined the bank, I found some comfort and decided to stay and give it my best.
Maybe you are lucky that you are hiding in a vault somewhere. But now that you started winning awards and doing interviews, and you're going to be stolen.
I don't work in the vault. I would be stolen, but the evening of my working life. So I will stay until I retire.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, by the vaults, I meant that, you see, Bank of Uganda is one of those heavy guarded places. And even when you get there to see someone, it's like you are...
I know, the security has to be heightened because of the commodity we deal in. Yes.
There's a common notion, of course, around people working in finance.
Yes.
You say you work in the money. So just to be sure, I know there's the currency department.
Yes, which
so when you think
cash.
about CFO, so you don't work in this other money?
No, I don't. That is for currency.
Okay.
But I do pay their salaries. I pay for the money that they have imported when they are printing the money. So we pay the printers. Yeah. So all the money that the bank generates and spends, that is for the CFO.
Okay. And just a little bit of, you did mention that some time ago you were, I think you're still in charge of the small business recovery fund.
True.
Just out of curiosity, how are we performing? Are the small businesses recovering well?
Okay, so when this was set up, we targeted the group that was not ready for the money. So we had 100 billion from government, 100 billion from the commercial banks. But then you need to have a bank account, you need to have some records. you need the business to have been there before COVID. So most of those factors are not being met.
Okay.
And so the performance is not good. We've done more, about 15% only. So what we are doing is to convince, because this is government money, convince them to relax some of the requirements. Okay? So that we can accommodate many more people. So we have drafted a document for those amendments, and it is being reviewed.
Okay.
But the money is still there, and people can come and the challenge you have also is that when we do awareness, sometimes Ugandans don't listen. They want to listen to music. We got the radio and people don't tune in, so they are saying they are not aware. But we have been doing all this awareness, radio talk shows, barazas, town halls. Yes, but we are seeing an improvement.
Okay.
Yes, but because you see the loan sizes are small, it is hard to lend 100 billion. If people are borrowing 1 million, 500,000, 3, you can't finish 100 billion. We have the numbers, but the money is still there.
Now, this question is for me as a business person,
Yes.
and possibly these gentlemen who are also in business.
Right.
So, how do we access this money?
So the media is also actually they are eligible. If you want to buy new machines, these cameras and what do you call these, the loudspeakers, you are also eligible. That is the entertainment industry. So what you need is to have a bank account in a bank of your choice.
Okay.
All banks sign to this agreement, and then you take your application and insist that I want the COVID funds administered by Bank of Uganda or the Small Business Recovery Fund. But if that is hard for you, just say COVID. In all banks that are licensed by the central bank. So I have tier 1, commercial bank, tier 2, credit institution, tier 3, microfinance depositing institution. All of them are eligible to disburse this money.
Okay.
Yes.
And at what interest rate are we getting?
The interest rate is 10% only, which you cannot get elsewhere. 10% per annum. Yes.
Okay. Very interesting.
So
and I mean, I'm sorry I digressed a bit, but I think I know most of our listeners also they run businesses.
Right.
And the limits, are there any limits in terms of the range of how much you can apply for?
So you can only borrow up to 200 million.
Okay.
We want that relaxed to about 500 million. Your turnover for a year should be 300, but that's so limiting. Okay. Because many businesses again are beyond that. So to answer your question, it is up to 200 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we are targeting small. So the big ones are catered for elsewhere, UDB, and again those who are not formal, they have to go to PDM. Okay. PDM and yoga, that is their place. So we are looking at businesses that are formal, too big for PDM, but also too small for UDB.
Okay. Yes. Interesting. So looking back at your career, you said just about 3 decades. You've done a lot of responsibilities within the central bank. You've won awards and you've achieved many highs, if I could say. Looking back, what would you say like some of the 2-3 key things that you would consider that have been beneficial to you or that have helped you achieve what you've been able to achieve that maybe other professionals can learn from?
Well, the first one is the ACCA qualification. The time we qualified, I did qualify in 2000. It was rare, not so many people. Okay. So that opened opportunities for ACCA, because if you have ACCA and masters, then you are eligible to apply for higher positions. But also you have to keep updating your knowledge. It's not only the paper. Can the paper produce something? The second one is the being patient, being patient. Some people want a lot of money yesterday. You have to be patient in life and each stage at a time. So the patience also matters a lot. So I've talked of the patience plus professionalism, because people are watching, your bosses are watching, who can be promoted, who can be trusted. So that is another one. Then the other one is I have the commitment to do what is right all the time. Okay. Sometimes I argue with my colleagues that we shall be in the media. I say, but if I'm in the media for a good reason, what's the problem? If I've done the right thing, I mean, it is okay. Whether people have liked it or not, you have to do the right thing all the time. So you can imagine as somebody in charge of finance, people want to access money. It has to be according to policy. You cannot access money through an irregularity or backdoor. No, that's not how public funds are managed. So that's how I've been able to stay on course, and I think I have trust of my bosses. Recently there were transfers, and when to reach finance, they said, okay, this guy, we are still stable, let's leave him.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, interesting. You talk about the importance of having the professional qualifications, being prepared for the job, of course, being consistent and reliable, and being patient, and working with. Having been in the central bank for these 30 years, you see, you're probably working with teams that come from different generations. You have the Gen Zs, some millennials, and do you see any particular differences that stand out in terms of work ethic, attitude to work, and the way they do things? Do you see something that stands out?
Thank you very much for that question. And for the last 30 years, of course, I've been gathering knowledge and experience. So as you said, there is difference in working. The older people have their own culture, their way of working, and the Gen Zs have their own way of doing things. They want to work from home, they want gadgets, they don't like physical documents. So there is a difference in the way we work. But because of my stay in the bank, I have more knowledge about the work than they do. So that makes them come closer to you. And so you see, to supervise people in a profession, you must also know what they are doing. So I know what they are doing. I'm able to guide them. I'm able to critique. I'm able to, sometimes they come to say, but you are ED, how did you see this? In a very short time, you have finished this report, you have seen all the mistakes. Because I have the knowledge and the experience. So the respect is one, you must have knowledge to be able to work with them. But also, you don't close yourself in the office. You must also learn some of the things they do, connect with them. You must also connect them, learn how to use WhatsApp, do this and this. So that's how you have to manage. There are some habits which don't go away from old people. But you need them. You cannot employ old people. So you have also to come down to their level. Yes. So you also walk around, ask them, how are you? Try to motivate them and show them, how they do things, how a central banker needs to behave. Even if you are Gen Z, but you're a central bank Gen Z, there is a behavior that you have to exhibit. And to have this, one of the things that we hate in the central bank is financial embarrassment. Financial embarrassment, you have zero tolerance, you have to leave. You borrow from your friend, you don't pay back, that is financial embarrassment. You're on somebody's board, and when you reach, you don't pay, that's financial embarrassment. You cannot be caught in any financial embarrassment, anything, because you are a central bank. That's why we try to pay better so that you keep the status of the central banker. But we have to work with all these generations, learn what they want, come down to them and guide. Yes.
It's been rumored, word on the street out there is that the central bank is one of the best employers. Is that true?
It depends. As I said, if you are patient, yes, because you have some benefits that other people don't have. But it's not that the central bank staff are the richest, no. But you have to be satisfied. On the face of it, our pay slips are better. But some people have more money, which is not on the pay slip. But if you are to look at pay slip, yes, better employer. But people's lifestyles are much better than ours. How they get the money, I don't know. But he's a good employer and consistent. You will not be very rich, but you will not be poor. You will have a good average life. The lifestyle. You can drive, can take your children to school, you can own a car, those kind of things. But you not have estates and all these mansions.
There's something you mentioned about financial embarrassment, and I think being a regulator, you are held to a higher level.
Yes.
You see, if other CFOs are stopping here as a regulator, you are supposed to be above them. How do you keep and enforce and sustain that culture in an institution? Maybe I'm sure the other organizations which are struggling with culture and with all these temptations happening around there. How do you consistently manage that culture in an institution?
Okay, so for my case as CFO, my expectations and what I stand for must be known. So there are things you don't bring to my office because he's not going to entertain. So people must know what you stand for, so that they don't come with all sorts of requests that are not supported by policy. So as you said, because we are at the helm of the financial sector, our behavior and our conduct must be beyond a doubt. Because if a central banker is not behaving in a profession, how are we going to send a message or discipline the other institutions in the sector? Yeah, so that is, we have to maintain that culture. And that's why I was saying, the Gen Zs, we have to groom them and they learn what is expected of them. By the time they become directors and executive directors, yeah, they should be on top of their game.
Okay.
Yes.
And as a leader, what are your personal values that guide you, your mantra that keep you, when the winds come in and shake you, you keep glued to the true north?
Okay, so as you have said, you have to be reliable, person of integrity, and doing the right thing all the time. Sometimes you get a lot of pressures, or you don't get approval from the authorities. But you don't have to raise dust and bang tables. You have to keep your calm. Some things you sleep over. You are angry, you are annoyed, you just drive your car home and first settle down. Then you can confront the issues the next day when you are calm and your emotions have calmed down. Because we are human beings, all of us have emotions. So you must control your emotions as a leader, and you don't have to show that you are annoyed, because now if you are annoyed in the office, you take that anger to your family. By the time you reach home through all these borders, your anger should go down. So the next day in the morning, you are good to go. But also at a high level, I'm able to confront the person I report to, because I report to Deputy Governor. So he's also a person who is not distant from us. So I'm able to pick a call and say, boss, yesterday you said this and this, but I've thought about it. I think the right thing to do is this one. And so we're able to have a conversation in a mood that is not confrontational.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
you have to be calm.
In line with that, as a leader, how do you create an environment, or how do you send a signal that it is okay for people to disagree with you, especially when it's on matters of principle, and it is okay, nothing will happen? Because then if you don't, people will look at things like, okay, but this man doesn't like to be disagreed with. And also related also, how do you, learning the art of delivering hard or difficult news or difficult decisions? And I'm sure as a head of finance, a couple of times you have to deliver that. And how do you, what are some of the tips that you can give to leaders out there?
Okay, so to the rest of the staff, you have to have open door policy, but also in meetings, they will see your body language. You cannot punish or criticize people for their views. So you allow them to give their views, they are discussed, and you explain if it is against policy, because you are not going to allow every idea. No. Because you have what to do, that must be done. And so they must bring issues to the table, you discuss. Because if you discourage innovation, then how do you grow? You cannot keep discouraging young people to raise their issues. You give them a platform that is open, discuss, and then where it is not possible, you explain. Where you are deferring, you explain why you are deferring it maybe to the next period or something like that. But you cannot have confrontation in an office and then deliver. It is difficult. You have to have that conducive environment and allow them to come to you. What that creates is that sometimes when they come, the people who report to me get jittery that why are the juniors coming to me, not to them. But that's what you have to manage, because I'm a leader of all, not only those who report to me, the two people, but also the others. And sometimes they have disagreed with their bosses, the people they report to. They have an idea, the other person has tried to suppress, so they bring it to me, and then I'm able to advise. But all these things you do with wisdom.
Yeah.
I cannot go to the other person, so and so has said this, you have refused. No. You find a way of bringing it out. There is this way of doing things. Can we look at it and see whether it works without mentioning the people and creating more confusion? Yeah.
Okay. So I see you also got some higher level of emotional intelligence.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to. Because right now at my level, it's not only the knowledge, but emotional intelligence, leadership, managing people, that plays a lot. Yeah.
I've heard about 2-3 people I've talked to before yourself, and you've also mentioned it. There's this theme of keep calm. You know, you need to keep calm. At first in marketing, sometimes we find it hard to keep calm when things are volatile. What is the importance of keeping calm as a leader?
Keeping calm doesn't mean that people are going to take advantage of you or anything like that. But there are situations that don't require confrontation. And our work as accountants is not like marketing where you are convincing people. This is our work is to do. So the world we live in is competitive, and you have to have some level of being aggressive. If you are not aggressive, you will be left behind.
Yeah.
There will be an interview, you cannot talk, you are keeping calm, you can't pass. So you have to have that balanced, because you have also to be a bit aggressive. If you are not aggressive, you will not be noticed and promoted. If you are quiet, they say, let's first reward this one who is making noise. So there is some degree of being aggressive and occupying your space, fighting for your rights. So I'm an accountant. When we go to ExCom, I can't go and say I'm calm. No. I have a constituency I represent. I have issues to raise. I have a position to defend.
Yeah.
So you are calm, but not people to take advantage of you. No.
So it's kind of calculated calm.
Because you remember CFOs in many organizations are number 2, and we have seen some of them succeeding to number 1. If you are calm, maybe you will not go up. So we need to be aggressive and fight for being CEOs, not CFOs but CEOs. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've, I mean, for this time, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things change. I think the CFO of 1991, I was in P6, P5, P6, yeah. And the one of today, a lot of things have changed.
Yes.
What, in your view, what do you think is changing about the profession, and how does that inform maybe the future?
The CFO of your age and my age possibly were bookkeepers. Right? Vouchers, stamping, listing documents, and making totals, and that has changed with technology and what is expected, because as I said, it's no longer about debit and credit. You are able to do other things, strategy, innovation, IT. So the thinking has changed, and the future CFO must be one who multitasks. Yeah, because right now, as I told you, I also have to understand procurement. Procurement was never for CFO, but I need to know how I'm disbursing the funds and who is taking the money, whether the process was followed, that kind of thing. So the future CFO must look at things in a wider sense and understand the whole organization, not only concentrating on the payroll, adding figures. No. That one the machines now do. Because what they used to do, the computer can. So you have now to think, analyze. People now are talking of big data.
Yeah.
We are talking of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. The CFO must understand all these things and how they are accounted for and presented in a professional manner. Yes, and understand the risks of these new ideas. We never had the money moving in the air. Now you can send the money on the phone. Money used to be in socks, in pockets, in wallets. But now, none of us is carrying any money. So, and the CFO must understand all that, and understand the risk and account for all those transactions.
Okay.
Yes.
And I mean, looking at the kind of people who are coming onto the market from these finance schools and all the other schools around, do you feel the education system or the curriculum is ahead of its time? Is like in touch with the reality, or we are still passing out bookkeepers?
The reality is very different from school. Maybe I should mention to you this. I finished BCom 1991 with upper second. I'd never seen a checkbook. So the first checkbook I saw was mine when I opened the account. So you can see the disconnect between the education and what is on the ground. So the market is moving much faster than the education system. I think they have adjusted. My son is doing software engineering, and I see understands some few things, but there isn't change also for other professions to understand what is expected in the market. Especially central banking, difficult because there's no other central bank, so the university does not cover what the central bank does. So most of the things we learn from inside. You have to learn them when you come.
Okay.
So there's need to change the way the education system is structured. But of course, you have very senior professors using the notes they had. So there is need for change. But still, you cannot match 100% that the education system will match exactly. But there's need to shift towards what the market wants.
Okay.
But for us to answer the question, when you come the central bank, you start afresh. Okay. But what we are looking for in the new people is one who is trainable, highly trainable, the one we can train. So that's what we are looking for in the candidates, but not the one who can work, no. The one whom we can train quickly, whose learning curve is going to be very short.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there's something you mentioned about innovation. And innovation, of course, innovation in the private sector is quite a bit fast. But if you try to look at as a regulator, usually they say innovators, they tend to be 2-3 steps ahead of the regulators. Yes. So in your space, what has been your experience, and how are you coping up with the innovation? And good, you mentioned you've been in charge of the payment systems at some point and the fintechs. What has been your experience in, especially from a finance angle? How do you advise finance leaders to deal with innovation from the outside, especially if you're a regulator, but also innovating within to make sure that you catch up with the rest of the world?
Thank you very much for that. The innovation is not something you can sit on. It has to continue. So in terms of being a central banker, when this mobile money came, we were not ready. And so, as you said, the market is always many steps ahead of the regulator and ahead of even the legal framework. So what you need to do is to keep on the lookout for what the market has, understand it, study it, understand the risks. But trying to kill it is not a good thing, and you cannot succeed. So the fintech world is much ahead of us. So when we are doing the National Payment Systems Act, we put in a section for what we call the regulatory sandbox.
Yes.
Sandbox where you come and it's like a lab. You do your innovation in a live environment, but controlled. We give you 6 months, then you can roll it out. If not, then we give you another 6 months. But if you can't, then you abandon it. And so innovation is always ahead of the market, but we should keep abreast with what is happening. These days there is a lot of information. You can Google, you can get information from anywhere. So like now the challenge we have is these things of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. They are here, we know. but we are not ready to understand. We have not understood them, have not regulated them, but we have given a position as government. We are still studying this. If you understand it, you can go ahead, but the risk is yours. But that's not enough. We need also to protect the people. So the way you do it is to not to close the innovators out. Understand what they are doing, then bring them into the regulatory framework.
Okay.
But there will always be something new that the market knows and the regulator does not. Same thing as internally. So if somebody has an innovation system, we allow them, support them even financially. We have a policy for innovation.
Okay.
And then test it. If it doesn't work, we give it more time. But also you reward the innovator even if it has not worked, to encourage innovation. Yeah, so then you formalize it and roll it out. Yes.
And from the time the NPS Act was passed, there's been a lot of course, licensed institutions,
Yes.
and there's been a lot going on. Of course, how, from your perspective and briefly, of course, migrating these guys from a place where they're not regulated to now where they're being regulated, how has been the response? Are you seeing more and more guys, they are being compliant, are others falling out? Are things changing for the better? Generally, what has been the whole experience?
Okay, so when we came in with the law, they were already operating and were too many. So we gave them time, but we had at certain point to put a cutoff. That by this date you should be under the central bank regulation. So then everybody had to apply. Because if you don't, there is a law and it is illegal, we'll close you, and there are ramifications. So they have all applied, but they have all not succeeded. We are still reviewing the applications and advising. I think some will fall out if they cannot meet, say, the capital requirement. There's a lot of demand these days on corporate governance. You are small, they want chairman of the board, they want so many members. They have to be vetted, that kind of thing. So there are some that maybe will merge or close for some time until they are ready. So the experience has been that not everybody is ready to come. It's painful for those that don't, but then there is a road to implement.
Yeah. And
Which has
people's
to be
money to be
implemented.
protected.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So if you continue operating, some people think maybe the central bank recognizes you. So if you are not recognized, you have to stop because we have to protect. If something goes wrong, the public cannot lose their money. They are looking up to us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the experience has been tough. Some people have to get out of business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to the CFO Awards, I know you've been one of our winners, I think
2022.
2022, you won the Public Sector Award. Just give us some insight. For starters, what inspired you to get involved? And from the time you won, what has been your experience? Have you seen some benefits from participating in the awards? And in line with that again, what would you tell other people in terms of participating in these and many other opportunities for recognition, especially for the finance person who has always been busy doing their job and not caring a lot about a bit of visibility for their personal brand?
Okay, so when this came up, actually, I was not even aware, but my staff, one of my staff nominated me. He's called George Martin Mutumba, nominated me, filled everything. So then I didn't want to let him down. I came for the interview and I was, we were two, I think, for that award, so I was the winner. So that is fulfilling. It motivates you and lifts your morale and recognition. And it was publicized even in the bank. I got a letter of a congratulatory letter from the deputy governor. And even this was mentioned at the end of year party as an achievement for the bank. So it lifts you up, it motivates you, and it is satisfying. It is an achievement, and from that time, I always make sure that the bank sponsors this kind of awards. and we shall continue advocating for sponsorship for this. We have about, I think, now 30 ACCAs, and ACCA is a good foundation. I recommend everybody to try and do it and also participate in the awards. It's a recognition that you can't take for granted. Yes, it is very satisfying.
Okay. In our off-air interview, in our off-air conversation, there's somewhere where you mentioned that ACCA made me.
Yes, ACCA made me what I am.
What did you mean?
I wouldn't be CFO without it. Yes.
Okay.
It is. It's what made me to perform up to this level, to be recognized.
Okay.
And it's a good foundation. I can say if I didn't have it, because the rest of the things I had, everybody had. So I would have something that other people don't have. But when you get it, also add some bit of integrity, which is rare in most accountants, and then that will push you.
By the way, speaking of integrity, I read there's been a couple of reports, and I've also seen a number of forums, meetings, and people are talking about fraud. And it's a little bit unfortunate that the significant amount of fraud is internal or external with assistance from internal people. And of course, the finance people, most times, you're the gatekeepers of, making sure that you build the culture, but also make sure that you close all the possible entry points of, in these 30 years of experience, what have been some of the tips of the knowledge you've gathered around how some of these, loopholes can be closed, some of these gaps, to make sure that you run a watertight ship?
So, for example, if you are ACCA and like you said, I got an award, and the next day you're in newspaper for doing something wrong, that's very bad for the profession, and you have professional ethics. So the more qualified the people you have, possibly the safer you are. But again, some of them misbehave. So there are ethics for the profession, and if you are found stealing or being corrupt, it's not good. It is hard to perfect a fraud without somebody internal. Many times it is very difficult. And with IT now, there are so many things that people can do. But to say you do not have any infiltration is very difficult with IT. You need people of integrity. You need to know whom you are putting here, who cannot bypass the controls and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And you must take action. Yes.
Okay.
I've had some. You must take action to deter others from doing it.
Okay.
But the fraudster is always also like the market. They are ahead. They are always ahead.
Like innovators.
Yes. They are just like innovators. They always ahead and sharp.
Do you want to start putting them in also in a sandbox of their own? I've seen in especially in the IT world, they are talking of ethical hackers, where law enforcement tries to learn from the thieves how the crime is committed, so then they better their systems. Is that something that has been tried here in the market, or?
What we do for our systems is we call it penetration testing.
Okay.
So you hire a firm that penetrates your systems to see where the loopholes are, and you see them. But these are professional firms, not criminals. We have not used the criminals as a central bank. But it could be a good source of information, because when police arrest them, then they need to know the information, how they did, so that they can close off that one as criminals open another one, because they always open another one. I was already saying when we were using cash, they would waylay you and hit you with a stone or something to take the wallet. But now they know we don't carry cash. The vehicles don't have cash. So now they have to go to the systems. Your phone, password, codes, they have to do something. And they have been successful. I've been seeing in the media. They have stolen a lot of money from banks, So we need to also be tight and close those loopholes, but they always open some more. And what banks have done is that now there was something, they hit one bank, But that bank informed the others. Yeah, so they were able to stop them.
Okay.
So there needs to be collaboration. If there's no collaboration, these attacks will always be there.
Yeah.
You can't remove them. They will always be there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe lastly, as we close, if you had packaged your 30 also years in the profession, but also generally in leadership, if you had packaged them in form of advice to someone, what would you summarize them as?
Yeah, be professional, act professionally, be a person of integrity. Let people know what to expect from you, what you stand for. That's how I can summarize it. But the keyword is integrity.
Okay.
You must be a person of integrity. Yes. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is seeing you.
Okay.
Even when you're alone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, Mr. Byarugaba. It has been a very interesting conversation that has even gone beyond the finance profession to look at other things. And myself, as a business person, I've taken out a bit on the small business recovery. I will be going out to look for that. But I think integrity, like you mentioned, is one of those key things that I've taken out here. And basically doing the right thing even when you are alone or on your own or nobody is seeing you. I think that's very key. Another key thing I've also learned is how to be calm, but not stupid. Calm in a measurable way, so that you are not overshaken and you take wrong decisions. And also being prepared, having the knowledge and the tools and the skills, and especially for the profession you're talking about, ACCA, that's very, very key. So thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the CFO Playbook, where we get to discuss and get insights from the business leaders in the finance profession on how things get done and what they have learned and their experiences. We look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. And we also hope to host you again, Richard, on another episode, probably where we get to talk about other interesting things. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, subscribe to the CFO Playbook and see you on the next episode. Thank you.